What does a vegetarian eat for a holiday dinner instead of turkey or ham? Stay tuned for one of my favorite vegetarian holiday meals. Hello, I'm Marcella Lynch, and welcome to Food for Thought, the cooking show that features God's eating plan as unfolded through Scripture and through an understanding of God's other book, the Book of Nature. What does a vegetarian eat for a holiday dinner instead of turkey or ham? At our house, there has never been a holiday bird or ham. In all the years of my childhood, there was never a Thanksgiving turkey, and to this day, our holiday menu centers around a vegetarian main dish. I don't miss meat in the least because it was never a part of my life. I'm actually in the third generation of a family who follows God's ideal eat-in diet of fruits, grains, nuts, and vegetables. You know, we have a wonderful feast at holiday times. You can get really creative with vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains to create a beautiful and tasty dinner. And today, I'd like to prepare for you a typical vegetarian holiday dinner that I might serve for Thanksgiving or Christmas. And the menu includes savory pecan loaf, orange pineapple yams, stuffed pumpkin or squash, green beans supreme, tangerine walnut toss, 7-grain dinner rolls, and no sugar apple pie. And here we go, Pat. We've got a lot of work to do today. It just have a half hour to make an entire holiday meal, and we're going to try to do it. So the first thing is savory pecan loaf, and the ingredients are 1 cup chopped pecans, 1 cup dry breadcrumbs, 1 small onion, 2 medium-sized potatoes, 1 1/2 cup milk, 1/2 cup chopped celery, 1/2 cup soy flour, 1 teaspoon salt. Continuing, 1 teaspoon sage, 1/4 teaspoon sweet basil, 1/8 teaspoon thyme, 1 tablespoon soy sauce, 1/4 cup fresh parsley, or you can take 1 tablespoon of dried parsley. All right, so these are the ingredients, and you can simply mix all these together. But the first thing I'd like to show you is that when I want to save some time with chopping, I do just put the milk in the blender, and I just jog it a little bit with the potatoes and onions in there, and then it's all ready. And I'm not even going to bother to peel these potatoes if you just put the chunks of potatoes into the blender and let the blender do the work. Take advantage of time-saving equipment, and this makes natural food cooking easier and quicker in the kitchen. And I see that my kitchen magician already chopped the onions there, so we'll just go ahead and jog this a little bit. I hope that's enough. Should be. If it's not, then we'll have to go a little more. It looks great. Okay, we're just going to put everything into our mixing bowl, stir it up, and I'll let you go ahead and spray that casserole dish there, Pat. And we've got some nonstick spray somewhere, and we'll get that ready. And we'll just get a little head start here. Right, we're just going to add all the other ingredients. There's breadcrumbs and chopped pecans. That helps to bind the whole loaf together. Celery, parsley, our chopped onions, and our seasonings is the soy sauce, and all the little seasonings that we just mentioned. We will just hurry through this so that we can have time to demonstrate everything else today that we're going to serve. And for the binding agent to help hold it all together, we have a 1/2 cup of soy flour. I need a wooden spoon, I think, here to mix all this together. And I'll just trade you for this tray. And then why don't you go ahead and bring up the yams. We're going to make our holiday yams here. Now you want to be sure to stir this well. Keep things chopped just a little bit on the small side so that when you make this into a loaf pan, it will fill everything up, will hold together, and it won't fall apart on you. All right, let's just double check everything here. We have all the ingredients in, and we just go ahead and bake this at 350 for an hour. Now, we have put the one we're going to make for our holiday dinner, made it ahead, and I'm going to show it to you. It's in a mold that you could put out upside down onto a platter when you get finished to put on the holiday table. This one we're just going to put into a regular loaf pan, bake it at 350 for an hour, and then if we have extra company, we'll have an extra one. But we've already made a beautiful one that we're going to show you right now. And I doubled the recipe when I make it for a holiday. Now you see, this is really excellent protein because it has the pecans, it has the soy flour, it has the breadcrumbs, and it really has plenty of protein. If you thought you needed meat at this meal for protein, you really do not. So we'll just put this right into the oven to bake. And let's just take a look at the one that's ready for our holiday meal here. And we baked this one double-sized recipe in an oval baking dish. And we baked it a little extra long. If you're going to unmold it later, make sure you bake it well so it holds together nicely. And then let it sit for a little bit before you try to unmold it. And then garnish it around with something real pretty for the holiday table. I would serve this with some kind of a gravy. We have a lot of gravy recipes in the cookbook. A cashew gravy, cranberry sauce would be really nice with this too. So that's our savory pecan loaf. Right, now we're going to go over here to our yam recipe. And that is on page, let me check here, 177. Here we are. Orange pineapple yams. And what we want to do is try to figure out a nice way to get these sweet and make a nice glazed topping. So you can either boil the yams or the sweet potatoes with their skins on, or you can bake them in the oven or cook them on top of the stove. And so we've already peeled these, and we can just go ahead and take this one and finish filling up our casserole dish here. Spray your dish so that the things won't stick to it, and we'll have plenty of yams for everyone. I don't know, at our house we don't have a holiday without our yams. And maybe I'm from a different part of the country than you are, but it just seems like a must-have. And sometimes we have mashed potatoes as well, but today we're just showing the yams. All right? So what we want to do now is make kind of a thickened mixture here on the stove, and we'll just stir that. I'll let you stir, Pat, and let's just talk about what we're going to put in here. We're going to take 2 cups of orange juice. So let's just pour 2 cups of orange juice here. There we go. We can add that one. And then we'll use the same cup here and get some pineapple juice. There we go. And it calls for 3 tablespoons of crushed pineapple. You know what I think is we had enough. Okay.
We had enough for a double batch.
I think we had enough for a double batch, but I think we'll just do one for, it'll thicken a little quicker for us to get finished here. And it's put it clear up on high heat so we can hurry it up. We can start something else and then finish this when we get through. Now we need to thicken this, of course, and it calls for 3 tablespoons of cornstarch. So now that we have this wet, we want to dry it off here so we can do our thickening agent. 1, 2, 3. All right, we're just going to let you stir and thicken that, and when that gets all clear, we'll just drizzle it right over the yams. These also can just bake a little longer, and you could just put them in at 350 and let them bake and kind of get little change of color on them. And then we have some pecans that we can sprinkle over the top. I like to sometimes put raw cranberries over the top, and then by the time it's baked, it looks really festive and pretty with the pecans and the cranberries. Right, so that's our orange pineapple yams for our holiday meal. And I'll just go back here and get the things we need for our stuffed pumpkin or squash. Let's find that recipe here. It's on page 141. Okay, thank you, Pat. This is a fun idea to, if you're not serving that big turkey on the platters, to have some things that look kind of like focal points for the holiday table. That's the reason I like to double the other loaf and make it kind of look on a big platter so that that's the focal point. Instead of that big turkey, you have that nice big pecan loaf. And also to have the stuffing that you're going to serve for the meal stuffed in a pumpkin. Now this is the wrong time of year right now for me to find a pumpkin, but we found some of these beautiful kabocha, I guess you say it, kabuka squash. And these have a wonderful sweet meat. And what we have done here is we've kind of scooped out and cleaned out the center here, and we've sort of pre-baked this. And that's all on the recipe on page 141. And we actually have 2 of these here that we have prepared that way. And we have the stuffing mix here, and it's ready to stuff. But let's just take a look at what went into this stuffing mix right now. The stuffed pumpkin is 1 cup of cooked wheat and 2 cups of cooked brown rice, 4 to 5 cups of the croutons, 1 cup of chopped celery, 1 cup of chopped onions, 1 teaspoon Vegex diluted in 1 cup of hot water, or that's kind of like bouillon cubes, and then 1 teaspoon of garlic salt. And then continuing, 1 teaspoon sage, 2 tablespoons soy sauce, 1 cup sauteed mushrooms, which is optional, and 1 cup of some kind of nuts, pecans or walnuts, and 1 small medium to large or small to medium pumpkin or squash. All right. Let's take this nice big bowl. I love these big mixing bowls because I can just make a mess a little easier here. Right, we're just going to start with our cooked wheat. Now this is wheat, what it looks like before it's cooked. So you just cook this wheat up until it's tender, either in a pressure cooker or just in a regular saucepan. And if you want to make it a little quicker, you can use this Bulgar wheat, which you can buy in natural food store. It's wheat that's already been cracked, cooked, and dried out again, so it shortens the cooking time, and it also tastes very good. And actually, that's what we use today in our stuffing mix.
Marcella, excuse me, on the bulgur, if you just pour boiling water over it, you don't cook it at all, and that's so neat.
Okay.
It really saves lots of time. And
well, I like to cook mine, so I guess it's nice that you have different people to do things different ways, and it's fine to do it either way. It's just great. So here we have the bulgur, and we're just already soaked it. I'm sure this one was just soaked, right, Pat?
Yes.
And it looks just fine. And that's nice to put also if you soak it a little bit in bread when you make bread, if you like that little crunchy stuff to bite into in bread. Okay, and it calls for 2 cups of cooked brown rice, which we have here. We'll add that to it. That'll make a nice filler for the stuffing mix. We have the nuts. We have walnuts today. And then the croutons, you just buy these already seasoned at the market for the holiday loaves. And the chopped celery here. Mushrooms. You can suit yourself actually on all these things. Most of those packages of stuffing mix even give a recipe for the different ideas which you could put in there. Let's just toss this a little bit first. And then you can add your seasonings. Which we have here some soy sauce. Actually, the Vegex is kind of a brewer's yeast paste, and we talked about that at another class. You can buy Marmite also, which is a bottle of heavy paste in the supermarket, or some kind of bouillon cubes dissolved in water. You need something that gives kind of a meaty kind of a flavor to put in with the stuffing mix. We're also adding just a little onion and some herbs here like sage. Okay, I think that's it. Yep, we got it. So we'll just toss this all around, and Pat, I guess I'll just be the magic and pull up the one that's already been prepared ahead, and we'll just stuff some of this right inside of this squash here. And then you need to bake this more. We actually pre-baked the squash so that it would be like halfway baked, so that by the time we bake this again for the rest of the baking time, that it will be just right. Now, when the pumpkins and the squash kind of get almost baked, they kind of like droop a little. So we just watch it so that as soon as you know that the stuffing mix is done, it will just has to get hot basically, because everything is kind of cooked except for just blending the flavors together like that. I like to bake it with the lid on it, so we can just put this back on if we can figure about like that's the way it goes. And so we'll just stuff this one later too, and then this is extra stuffing mix that you could just serve in a nice casserole dish as well. And so what we're going to do is just pretend like we already baked this. We'll just go ahead and garnish it around.
Okay.
You're going to put some nice pretty things around it.
I think your sauce is ready if you want to finish the yams.
Okay. So that's kabocha squash. Ooh, it's nice. Here we have the lemon sauce. It's like a lemon sauce, but it's a pineapple orange sauce. So we're going to drizzle over our yams. Now this will bubble around as it bakes in the oven and be able to kind of get a little thicker and kind of look nice when it gets all the way baked. This is even a lot, and we didn't double that, did we? So that'll be great. Okay, I'm going to turn that burner off because it is finished. In fact, that one's on too, so let's just put this back here. All right, you can sprinkle a few pecans over this. And again, this will bake at 350 for however long you think it needs, maybe 45 minutes, maybe an hour. Just suit yourself. I guess I might as well put them all on here. We have them. There we go. Okay, Pat, we're going to put this over on the table and we'll pretend like this is already baked, but be sure you bake this before you put it on the table. Woo, how pretty this looks. This is our pumpkins with our stuffing in it, and of course this is the way nicely that you would take it to the table for the holiday meal. So isn't that beautiful? Right. Okay, let's skip, Pat, to the no sugar apple pie to make sure we have time to demonstrate this one. So let's turn in the cookbook to page 220. We do this in 3 steps. We're going to do the filling, and then the crust for the top, and then a crumble mixture over that. Now, the way you make apple pie without sugar is just a little different than you do when you do it with sugar. And what you do with sugar is that you put the raw apples right into the crust. But with this one, we have to pre-cook these apples on top of the stove. So we're going to have a pan, and we're going to put the apples with some of the juice in, and we're going to have to draw the sugar out of the apples. The sugar is in the apples naturally, and usually in an apple pie, when you put all that sugar over the top, then it just bubbles during the baking, and that sugar just kind of comes out. But when you're just using the natural sugar from the apple, then you just have to put it on the pan ahead of time. We need to just drain these. We've sliced these ahead, and we just had them in a little pineapple juice to keep them from turning dark.
Here,
and oh, good. Let's do that because I don't like to waste this nice juice. But you want to remember that for no sugar apple pie, you think about a sweet eating apple instead of a tart one, because you don't want to make a tart apple and then add sugar to it. You can just take a sweet apple and just use natural fruit juices. So this is like, let's look at the ingredients first. We should back up here and look at the ingredients. And it starts with the filling, 6 cups of peeled and sliced sweet eating apples, such as Golden Delicious. That's what we have here. 1 12-ounce can of frozen unsweetened apple juice concentrate, and you don't dilute it, use it undiluted. 3 tablespoons of arrowroot powder or cornstarch or minute tapioca to thicken it, a pinch of salt, and a teaspoon of cinnamon substitute. And you know, in our cookbook we have recipes for the cinnamon substitute, and you can find that. We talked about that and showed you what that's made out of on another class that we did. It's actually cardamom and coriander, because cinnamon happens to be one of those irritating spices that better not to use. So we're going to take the sweet eating apples and put them in our pan. And we're going to add, I'll just let you take that off, 1 12-ounce can of apple juice concentrate. Now what I like to do, there's the little snitch of salt. We're going to just dissolve the cornstarch in a little bit of this juice before we put it in here. What I like to do is to let this apple start cooking, Pat, and just stir that up and put it on. And then you can just add this thickening mixture after they get hot and bubbly and the apples are sort of beginning to be transparent. Then we'll add the thickening agent right at the last. Pour it on and immediately you'll have this wonderful thickened sliced apple mixture. You know, this pie is absolutely plenty sweet without any sugar. This is one of our favorite things to make. And apples are a good keeping kind of fruit to use in the wintertime, so it'll be a really nice thing for like the Thanksgiving or the Christmas season for our pie. All right, Pat is going to show us now how to make a special pie crust, and I'll just go over here and stir the apples, Pat, while you do this crust. And this recipe is not in the book, so you might want to jot this one down. We're going to show you the ingredients.
Is it on the screen?
They will be on the screen. Okay.
Are we ready for the ingredient list? And here's the first item: 1 1/4 cups millet flour, 1/2 cup raw cashews washed, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1/2 cup minus 2 tablespoons of water. I'd like to show you what millet looks like. You might recognize it as birdseed. It's used in Asia, and I'm going to show you how to mill it if you don't happen to be fortunate enough to have a flour mill. I like to always mill my millet flour because when you buy it at the store, it's usually not fresh enough. What we do is we turn our blender on so that it's running, and then I'll start pouring it in here. We'll see if that's fine enough. No, we need a little more. All right. We're going to get our 1 1/4 cups of millet flour. I had some of it already milled. And then I just, rather than get a new container to mess up and to have to clean later, I just like to put it right into the pie shell that I'm making. Pie plate. I think I'll get the rest of this in here so we're not bucking the flow here. Okay, this completes our cup. And then we need 1/4 cup. And you know, humidity makes a difference. How accurately you measure your flour and your water makes a difference. And so there's 2 things I always have handy when I'm doing this particular recipe. I want it to be tender, so I don't want it to be too dry. But I measure my water, 1/2 cup, less 2 tablespoons. And then this goes in my blender. I guess I'll have that back, Marcella. It's fine if it's... No problem. Okay, I have my half cup of washed cashews. Actually, I like to make 3 pies at a time because when I do, put my salt in here, when I do it blends a lot nicer, but we're just making 1 this morning and so it kind of doesn't blend as easily.
Starting to wiggle a little bit. I was kind of worried about it there.
Yeah, well, I think I'll blend it a tiny bit more. Okay, we just get our salt evenly through this, and then I kind of make a little well in the center. And then we're going to pour this cashew water mixture into the millet. This is a nice tender crust. You might want to use it. You know, coconut crusts have their place, and granola crusts are nice if you're doing something that you would normally put a graham cracker crust on. But if you want something like quiche or, you know, an apple pie, you might want something that tastes a little more traditional as far as a pie crust. And this is a nice one. If you used whole wheat flour in this, it would not be tender.
And Pat is just patting the crust right into the pan here, and it's just going to be the hot filling put in it, and we're going to put a crumble topping over the top. I want you to see the apples that are all thickened and ready to go into the pie here now. And you know, our holiday meal is just about all ready, and we have the salad that will be on the table and the green beans as well. And we hope that you had fun watching us do our holiday meal today. We're going to give you a shot of the table in just a moment. We want to thank you for watching again today. This program is sponsored by the Three Angels Broadcasting Network. Your prayers and financial support are greatly appreciated. We hope you'll tune in next time for more Food for Thought.
If you've enjoyed the recipes and cooking tips in this program, you'll want to order our Food for Thought resource sheet. We'll tell you how you can order the cookbooks you've seen used on this program, along with other information that will help you cook healthful, attractive vegetarian meals. For your free copy of our Food for Thought resource sheet, please write to us at Food for Thought, P.O. Box 220, West Frankfort, Illinois 62896, or call 618-627-4651.